Hey class, this is Adam Ward. Welcome to our module on stream solute tracers. What we're going to talk about in this video is what we're doing here, what we hope to learn, and why the module is organized the way that it is. So welcome to class. I'll be with you through this whole module, and let's go ahead and get started. All right, so first things first, this is me. You can see that in the video. Perhaps I've gotten a bit shaggier through COVID than in the school photo they've got on my website. But there you are, that's me, and I've listed my website in the bottom right corner, so you can check out the things that we work on or find my most up-to-date contact information there. So, for me, getting a PhD is about getting really, really good at one thing. Your job is becoming, in some ways, society's keeper of knowledge in a very specific area. And for me, that area is stream solute tracers. Of all the things there are in this world, the one that I'm extremely knowledgeable about is stream solute tracers. How do they work? How do we squeeze information out of them? How can we plan them for our own activities? And why the heck would you even do this in the first place? And so to that end, we're going to spend some time together working through these modules and trying to download all that information from my brain to yours about what this is all about. For what it's worth, my background is all in civil engineering, and my emphasis has been in water resources and environmental transport and fate. In other words, how water and what's in it moves around in the environment, particularly in rivers and streams. By my own estimate, I've completed more than 1,000 solute tracer studies in my life, and I've analyzed perhaps 1,000 more that others have shared with me. So this is something that I have spent a whole lot of time on. My partner would tell you I spend a disproportionate amount of time releasing salt into streams and being surprised when I can't find it all back. But apparently that's what I do. I've been doing this for more than a decade now, and I'm still not sick of it. So hopefully I can get you guys excited about this too. Okay, so what are we going to do in this module? Overall, my hope is that by the time you finish this module, you are confident to design, execute, and interpret your own stream solute tracer studies. So what we're going to work on through the various sections here is how do we design a tracer study? That'll be section 2. How do we use it to quantify some basics about transport, things like discharge or flow rate, velocity and dispersion. In sections 4 and 5, we will look beyond advection and dispersion to talk about what I call short-term storage. Some people use the words transient storage or temporary storage there. And then long-term storage. So what happens to some of that water that and the solute mass or our tracer that we don't find back? Through the course of this module, you'll have learning objectives that go along with each of those sections. So that is a checklist for your learning. At the end of a section, you should use those learning objectives and ask, can I complete these? If you can, go ahead and move on to the next. If you cannot, you should loop back and go through that module again until, or find the pieces that you need help on. So we shouldn't progress from one section to the next until you've mastered the material. And the reason is fairly simple. You need it. So you can't complete the work in section 5 without also being a master of what we've done in section 3. So this does build upon itself. So that's what we're up to. Now, how are we going to do this? Well, we've got goals or learning objectives that are laid out for each of these modules. In most cases, I'll show you what those goals are that you can read to yourself. You'll have a recorded lecture from me like you're watching now. After the recorded lectures, I've tried to provide reading assignments for you, both suggested readings, especially those that I reference in a given recording, and then a list of supplemental resources. So maybe these are examples from someone's website that I really like. Maybe it's a manuscript where I thought they did a particularly good job of looking at dilution gauging. So I'm going to point you there if you want to know more about dilution gauging. And finally, there's an activity along the way. So each time I teach you how to do some kind of new technique or analysis, then it's your turn. In section 1, I'll introduce you to a data set that I collected up at the H.J. Andrews Experimental Forest in Oregon, and you can use those to work through the activities. That way we'll be able to check your answers against mine for the same data set, and we'll know that you are correctly doing these analyses. Okay, so how do I think this module should work the best for you? The slides that you see me writing on are available for you to download. So there's a single PDF file that has all of the slides that I'll use in all of my video content along the way, right in order. My suggestion for you is either to print those out and take notes on them, or to do that in a digital way. And the idea is that these slides outline major topics. Sometimes there are figures or diagrams that I will draw on, and it's a way for you to help organize yourself. The next point, the order of these modules is not accidental. As I mentioned, they build upon one another, and concepts that we review in one section will come back for use in another section. So my strong suggestion is that you work through these in the order that they're presented. But of course, you all are free to do this as you see fit. And if I had, one overarching goal for all of the people who work through this module, it's that you don't do this work once as busy work. What I want is for you to build yourself a toolbox or build yourself a workflow. For me personally, this happens in either MATLAB or Python. So I have written code that will load Solute tracer data in a format that I can download from my loggers, and it automates this process. So while I will show you through the course of this module how to do all of this, and we'll derive all these equations, we'll work through them, some of them by hand, my strong suggestion is that as you're doing the activities, you pull that together in a way that you say to yourself, yeah, I could use this again. Or the next time I have a Solute tracer study, I'll know that I have a workflow already set up. So keep that in the back of your mind as you work through these activities, that what you would like to do is build a tool for yourself, not just get through calculations to get through them. Just a few more points about how and why these modules are set up the way they are, for those who are excited about educational theory or why courses are designed the way that they're designed. What you're looking at right now is a schematic that's called Bloom's Taxonomy of Learning. And the idea here is that the way that we learn can be organized from lower order to higher order cognitive skills. Things on the low order are memorization, right? Can you name this? Can you recall that? And so those don't take a lot of intellectual investment. Those are rote memorization. And as you move up to analysis, synthesis, and ultimately evaluation, these are what Bloom called higher order cognitive skills, right? And so this is where you actually have to use your brain power, not just to memorize and recall a fact, but you're using that to synthesize, to interpret 3 different analyses and ask what information is consistent, what information is inconsistent. How should I do this in the future? Why am I doing this a certain way? And so what I have attempted to do is, in our learning activities, try to keep us in the top 2/3 of this. So there's a little bit of memorization and comprehension that you will get by watching the lectures, but hopefully the learning activities push you up into the analysis and synthesis at least, if not evaluation. The second point, how are we going to teach you and how are we going to assess these learning objectives? This is a diagram called Constructive Alignment. And the idea here is that as we put this course together, I thought about the learning objectives, I thought about my goals for the course, what I would like for you all to be able to do. I set up the instruction in a way that I thought would support those learning objectives. I built the assessment, so the learning activities, the things you're going to do, on the basis of what those goals were and what the instructional techniques available to us were. And then I sort of think about number 4 as actually checking your knowledge. So not just doing the work for the sake of doing it, but making sure that you actually feel that you can achieve those learning objectives that we've set out to address. On the last slide on this topic, just to sort of drive it home for you, the way this module was designed was by figuring out what we wanted as outcomes. And again, for me, that's not only that you can understand Solute tracers and what they're for, but that you can actually do it yourself. From there, I reflected on what is the evidence How will I know that you're able to do this? And so that's what I built the lectures and the learning activities around. So the goal from all of that is you're doing the essential work to achieve the activity, to achieve the objectives and to demonstrate your abilities. And there's not busy work, there's not unnecessary reading, there's not lectures I recorded just to hear myself talk. The idea here is that everything about this is focused on getting you to that desired endpoint. All right, so your abilities to achieve an outcome is what we're after here. All right, class, so that's what I've got for you in this video. Welcome to the classroom. I'll be here in video form, working you through several sections within this module. The next recording you'll have from me is an introduction to stream solute tracers. What the heck are they and why do people do them? So welcome to class. I hope you all enjoy this. I hope you learn something, get something useful from it. And you have the ability to contact me. Email and phone and so forth are on the website I linked in this video. Please reach out if something's not making sense, if you need support from me in any way, and I'm happy to help you out as best I can. All right, thanks everybody. I'll see you in the next recording.